Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to do in-app purchases. So it's a combination of App Store Connect and the Apple developer website and StoreKit in Xcode. So since it's those three things, I broke it down into 10 steps, which seems like a lot, but it's not going to take us that long. But we're bouncing back from website to Xcode. So yeah, those 10 steps are we're going to create the Apple developer account. Now, I'd like to let you guys know, so you don't go any further, it does cost $100 a year. So if you're not in a position where you can do that right now, or you're not ready to shell out that money in order to do some of these features and put your apps on the App Store, things like that, you know, by all means, skip this video and check out my other ones. But yeah, if you have a developer account, great. If you're ready to, throw $99 a year down starting now, also great. So you're in the right place. Next, you're going to register your app on the developer website, the same one where you created the account. We add the app on App Store Connect, which is a different website. Also, Apple website. It's, I don't know why there's two different websites, but there it is. You're going to enable in-app purchases in Xcode. That's where we jump back to Xcode. And we're going to do a few things there. We're also going to create a let constant for the product ID that we created in App Store Connect. And then we import StoreKit and add a necessary protocol, the PaymentTransaction protocol. We go in and we add ourselves as the PaymentQueue. Create the payment transaction method. And then check if user can make payments and add payment request methods. So these last three steps, 8, 9, and 10, are all methods or functions. That's the real nitty-gritty of putting it in the app. But before that, we have to do some setup stuff online. So let's get started with the developer account. Now, if you already have a Apple developer account, and you're familiar with where I'm at right now. But otherwise, you need to go to developer.apple.com, click Account, and then there will be an option for you to register it. I don't want to show my login info to the internet right now. I trust you guys. I just, it's everyone else I don't trust, of course. But you'll see the option to register, and you can just follow the inputs to go ahead and give them that $99 a month that Apple so desperately needs. Now that we're in, they provide a lot of services that come with that $99 a month, but I just joke around about them taking all our money. But in here, we're going to, if you want to upgrade your membership, go to membership, and then so see, mine's already set up like this, but this is where you'd add all your stuff. And then we're going to go to certificates, IDs, and profiles. And once we're in here, we're going to go to app IDs, and then we're going to hit this little plus at the top. And in the app ID description, the name of our app that we haven't started yet, but this is what I'm going to call it. It's going to be in-app purchase demo. And then down here, this is going to be all filled in with your team ID. And then the app ID suffix, you're going to want to put a explicit app ID. And then for the bundle ID, it says a reverse domain name style string, and that is correct. You want to put, if you have a website, put com.yourwebsite.the-app name. If you're a single developer, just without a company or anything, just put com.yourname.appname, and use like your full name here because it has to be unique. That's the reason for this. So it's going to be in-app purchase demo. So that's what mine. I just use my full name, and then in here, the app services here are already checked. The in-app purchase and Game Center, these are automatically in. So all we have to do is hit continue, and then we hit register. And so now it's registered, and we have to take that bundle ID in-app purchase demo right here, and we have to create an Xcode project with that name. Of course, if you're just trying to add this to your app, you would put your bundle ID right there to link it up. So we're going to go Xcode, new project in Xcode. It's going to be a single view app. The project name is going to be in-app purchase demo. And see, the bundle identifier is going to be in-app purchase demo. And we don't need any of these boxes checked, and we're ready to go. Put it on the desktop. Alright, there we go. So we have created this project, and we're going to come back to it in a minute. For now, we're going to go back into our browser, go to App Store Connect, which is appstoreconnect.apple.com. You're going to log in with your developer account, which I already have, and we're going to go into, well, before we register the app, make sure you go into this Agreements, Tax, and Banking here, and make sure that these are set to active. If they're not, it'll tell you what you specifically need to do. For this one, when you're first starting out for the paid applications, you have to accept certain terms, and you also have to put in information, contact information, tax information. It's pretty simple to fill out. It's just like like your social and like a couple other things. It's really it's pretty user friendly, and it'll tell you what you need to fill out over here usually, or when you click on it. But yeah, so when you have both of these are green, also after you update that, it might take, it says up to 24 hours for it to show up as active when you give it your data. So if that happens, just bookmark this and come back to this video. But usually, it'll take took me like 30 minutes to an hour or something to hear back from Apple, and they were like, yeah, you're good to go. So now we're going to go into My Apps. And in here we're going to hit the Add button. And for the name, it's going to be In-App Purchase Demo. Also, this name has to be unique. So you can just add, since we're not going to actually put this one on the App Store, I'm just going to add by Michael, and maybe that'll go through. I'm going to select for the primary language, do the country that you're in for the primary language. And for the bundle ID, I want to select in-app purchase demo, or whatever bundle ID you've just created. For the SKU, you put whatever you want here. So for me, I just put Mike-002 for this particular one, and we'll create. And oh, that name that I just put in-app purchase demo by Michael, you can change it, so don't worry too much. But that's going to be what shows up on the App Store. So put what you want to show up if you indeed plan on putting an app on the App Store. Next thing is to go into Xcode, and we're going to go, while we're in the main page, we're going to go to Capabilities, and in here, click off that. In here, go to In-App Purchase right here, and if you have a developer account, this option will show up. If not, it won't. But yeah, we're going to flip that on, and gives you the steps right here. And as you can see, we've already set this stuff up. Next, we're going to go and we're going to create that let constant for the product ID. But in order to do that, first we need to create a product ID for our in-app purchase. And that is back here in App Store Connect. Now we're going to go to the main page that should pop up after you've created your app. Go to Features. And in-app purchases, obviously we're going to click plus to add an in-app purchase. Now, this is the different versions of in-app purchases that they have. Apple handles, all this billing and everything like that. So a consumable is something that, like if you have a game and you want to use a power-up that can go away, like once you used it, that's a consumable. And then a non-consumable is something that they purchase once and does not expire or decrease with use. So once they've bought it, and that's what a lot of in-app purchases are. Mostly non-consumables unless it's a game or something like that. Then you have auto-renewable, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then non-renewing subscription, which is probably the least common of all purchases, but it's it's just buy a year of this service, and it doesn't automatically bill you after the year. So for this one, it's going to be a non-consumable. I'm going to hit create. In here, we want to put what the purchase itself is called. So for this one, we're just going to call it purchase example. And in the product ID, it's wise to just take whatever your bundle ID is and add the reference name, just for the sake of congruency. Keep everything simple, easy to read, easy to understand. So this one we're going to do com.miles, which is me, and it's going to be in-app purchase demo dot purchase example. And now we're going to want to copy that to send it over to Xcode here in a minute. And in the pricing, just say whatever, 99 cents, just, So if you do this accidentally, you only wasted $1 if you do it the wrong way. I am creating another video to show you how to create a Sandbox user, but that's, we'll go over that later. And here in the App Store information, you can add, if you want to put it in other countries, you can add the display name and the description. So they're all different. But for this one, we're going to do the same as what we put up there, purchase example. And the description is a sample of in-app purchased content, just to give it a description. That's what the user's going to see when they click on the buy button. So you want that to be explanatory, but not a whole paragraph. And so now we're going to save. Now if you still have this copied, or you can copy it right here, go into Xcode, and we're going to go to our view controller and create a constant that is the product ID. It's going to equal a string, and that string will be the purchase example. Now we're just going to do a little bit of setting up the app. This is going to be a super simple app, but in here in the storyboard, we want to create a UI button that's going to basically be our purchase button. Give it a second to pop up. In the library, we want a button. And let's go ahead and let's just fix this into align it horizontally and vertically in the container. Here, let me show you what I'm doing here. Let's move it up. I think my face might be in the way down there. There we go. Horizontally, vertically in container. And so that's there. Let's just make it more visible. I want the background to be a different color. be blue, and then the text color can be white. And then let's make the button a little bit bigger. So for width, we're going to go 150, and then height, we're going to go 50. See how that looks. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. You can just call it purchase. There we go. And so now we're going to need a UI label to show us if we indeed purchased it. So in this label, we want to do the same thing, center horizontally. We don't want to center it vertically so it's in the same spot, just horizontally. So it's in the middle, and then here we want to say, you know, 100 degrees from the bottom, from the top of the purchase button. So that's what we're doing in this case. And there we go. That's really all the constraints we need to add for right now. And here in the view controller, we're going to link up. Yeah, so let's go in here. And we're going to link up the label here. Purchase label, let's just call it that. And it's an outlet, and down here we're going to create an action for the purchase button. Purchase pressed. We touch up inside, everything looks good. Alright. Now we're going to go into the view controller. I'm going to close out of this here. I'm going to go into the view controller, and we're going to import another library called StoreKit. And that's, Apple's StoreKit, basically. And in here we're going to add SKPaymentTransaction Observer. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to add that, and then in a second it's going to pop up, do you want to add protocol stubs? And we're going to say yes, please. And so this is basically what is going to process your payment. And we're going to take that, just keep everything nice and neat. We're going to drag it down here, keep the variables on the top, and we're going to just delete that line, just too much empty space. And here in the view did load, we're going to take SKPaymentQueue, which is added from the StoreKit, .default with the parentheses, and we want to add an observer. So as you see, we are inheriting from the SKPaymentTransaction observer class, and we want to make ourself the observer. So we're going to say self. And right here, I want to go ahead and build. Oh, the place, yeah, of course. Yeah, I just want to build to get everything to, all talk to each other, like the importing of the StoreKit and the payment transaction observer. You just want everything, you want the autofill to be there. So I like to build a lot in the project. All right, going back to the project itself, set up the protocol stub that we put in from the transaction observer, and if you'll see, it's the input is expected to be an array of the SKPayment transactions. So we need to check each individual transaction in the transactions, even if we only have one of them. So we're going to use a for loop to do that. And it's going to be for transaction in transactions. And I got transactions from right here. So in here we're going to check the transaction state, and basically just see like if they've purchased the item or not, and what to do if they have. So it's going to say if transaction dot transaction state equals purchased. We want to, so this is, you know, if item has been purchased. We want to put whatever code right there. So down here we want to go else if transaction dot transaction state equals dot failed. I'm going to go ahead and fill this one with a print statement. Transaction failed. Just because that's, you know, that's really important, especially if something fails, you want to know. And in here, let's go ahead and put a print statement saying transaction successful. It's one of my favorite ways to, you know, go through and check for bugs and everything, is to just have print statements. And next, we're going to actually change this purchase label when the transaction is completed. So it's going to be purchase label dot text equals purchase completed. And then here we're going to do nothing. Let's just go into the view did load and go ahead and set what purchase label is. Purchase label dot text equals purchase not completed yet. Now we're going to do the last two steps, and we're going to add the payment request, and we're going to check if the user can make payments, which is of course a necessary step. Yeah, Apple has protections against you know, things like parental controls, where you know, you don't want your kid buying the same power up like a million times. So that's why you have to check to see if they're able to even make purchases within the App Store with their account. So here we're going to create an if statement to see if SKPaymentQueue, to basically see if they're able to make the payments. So can make payments, pretty self-explanatory. And then down here we're going to do else if, or just else, because that'll, you know, else just basically considers any other situation. So that would be if they can't, so which this is a bool, so if it's true, then it's going to happen here, and if it's false, then the else will happen. And we're going to print user unable to make payments. And in here, we just basically put the product request, or the payment request, create a constant for it. It's a SK mutable payment, and the payment request product identifier is going to be the same as the product ID that we created up there, and that should be in camel case for anyone that noticed. There we go. And then we're going to go to SKPaymentQueue dot default dot add, and then down here we're going to add our payment requests. And there we go. We're gonna build and run just to see how the app works, but unfortunately we can't run the app without creating a Sandbox user in the App Store, unless you want to pay $1 for whatever you've created. And creating Sandbox users takes a minute, so I created another video about it. And as you can see, it says purchase not completed yet. We're going to hit purchase, and the debugger is going to say the transaction failed because you can't do it on simulator, unfortunately. So to go to the next part with the Sandbox, you have to have your own device. Doesn't matter whether it's an iPhone XS or iPhone 4. Like it really doesn't make a difference. But just, have something to test it on, even an iPod Touch. If they even make those anymore, I don't know. But yeah, hope to see you in the next video where we create a Sandbox user and we get to actually test this in-app purchase. What's up, my fellow Swifties? Today we're going to create a Sandbox user for our app. So basically, so in order to test your in-app purchase on, you have to have your own device. So you test it on your own personal device. Doesn't matter if it's like a iPhone 3 or an iPhone XS. Like it doesn't matter. And you also have to create a Sandbox account. Now, in order to do this, and to do in-app purchases anyway, you have to have a Apple developer account. It's $99 a year. You sign up on the developer website. So just saying, letting you know all of this in advance. Now, let's get started with our Sandbox users. In here, see we're in App Store Connect. It's appstoreconnect.apple.com. And I'm going to go into Users and Access. And on the left sidebar here, it's going to say Testers under Sandbox. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to add one, and you have to put in all this information. So I'm just going to put Testy McTestface and the email. It's going to be an email that I created just to test things. You do have to give a unique email and a good password, which is kind of annoying, but Apple security feature stuff. And you have to do this every time you add a Sandbox user. So my secret question is going to be, why do I need this? Answer is going to be, you don't. And then for my birthday, just put some random stuff here. United States. Make sure that's mine's in the United States because I'm here, but wherever you're at, make sure it's in that area and it links up to your app, what country you set the app up in. Now, now that I have this, I'm going to go into my phone, and we're gonna actually go to Xcode and run the app, the in-app purchase demo app that was in our last video. And we're going to run that, and then I'm going to show it on the screen right here. And we're going to go and we're going to click Purchase. And it's going to ask that you sign in. So you want to sign in with the account that you just created. Sometimes it's finicky, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete the in-app purchase demo app, and I'm going to go into Xcode and I'm going to reinstall the app. So now here it is again. I'm going to hit purchase, and it's going to ask for the password. We're going to put that in one more time. And then your purchase was successful. It's going to say environment Sandbox. So make sure it says environment Sandbox when you're putting in all this information, or you're going to end up paying for your own in-app purchases. But yeah, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And there's one more thing I wanted to add. So how do you check if you have a Sandbox user? And that's by going into your phone and going into settings, and then I'm already there, but you go to scroll down to iTunes and App Store, and you want to scroll down to the very bottom, and it'll have your Sandbox account right there. You can click on it to sign out, and sometimes you might need to sign out because an in-app purchase that you made, you may want to make again in order to test a new feature or something like that. But yeah, I hope you found this informative, Stay tuned for the next part, which is restoring purchases. And yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter at milesofTweets. Love to hear from you guys, and have a good day. Hey, what's up guys? We're ready for our final video in the in-app purchase series, and that is restoring your previous purchases. Now, here you can see the purchase is not completed yet. Now, in order to get there, I had to go into the app itself and go and delete this app, which I've already done, so I'm not going to do it again. And then go into Settings and go to iTunes and App Store and go to the Sandbox account, and I signed out. So see, it's asking me to sign in now. So now all that's left is to add a button to restore the in-app purchase that we've done, and it's pretty simple, so let's get to it right now. And it's about as easy as just adding a button and linking up an IB action. But the thing is, Apple wants you to be very obvious about where you put this, because they don't want you to, every time somebody updates their phone or gets a new phone, they don't want to pay for the same in-app purchase, things like that. So be prepared for them to ask you where your in-app purchases are if you don't have any. Now, so you can see here, I've taken a navigation bar, put it on the top, and we've set an exact amount for the height and pinned it to the top and sides so that auto layout can work its magic. There we go. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a bar button item. Drag that onto the screen. And we're going to name this item Restore. And we're going to link this item up to our view controller via a control drag, and it's going to be called Restore Pressed. And in this Restore Pressed, we just have to write one line of code, and that is SKPaymentQueue .default.restore completed transactions. One more thing we have to add in the PaymentQueue function here. We have to add another possibility. So it's going to be else if, put the else up here, else if transaction state equals restored. We want to print restored, and we want the purchase label .text equal purchase restored. So, alright, let's run the demo. And as you can see here, purchase not completed yet. We want to hit restore, and we're going to sign in to App Store. And there we go, purchase restored. So that's how you do in-app purchases. I hope you found this video useful, and look forward to seeing you some more. So thanks guys and ladies. Yeah, I hope you got some value. I just wanted to add one more thing. If you look down in the description, you can get the link to download the app that we just made so you can compare with yours. If you have any more questions, hit me up on Twitter at milesofTweets. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks.